cutters, bro. Now, that sounds like I'm blaming cord cutters solely for what's happening, and we know it's some of these CEOs and companies who are giving us bad options and bad fixes to a problem they have. It was a problem they had. These solutions don't seem to be any good. They really don't. It's almost like when I look around, but it is kind of, because they watched every other industry shift, and so they want to shift too. They're changing how they're going to access their thing. They're changing what they're charging for you to access their thing. Remember? It was just a little while ago, man. Bring your Labrador retriever to the office with you. You're going to die. We're in it with you. No, you're not. They were never in it with us. Ever. Ever. Ever, ever. And not, look, here we are. Just NBA TV, NFL TV, just do it. Charge me $500. Do it. But then when I turn on the damn thing, make sure I can watch my games. How hard is this?
The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
9 a.m. with me, Rock the Bank. Grab that first $1,000 keyword. Also, check out some new Stained. They're part of New Tour Tuesday today. So was Taylor Swift and Post Malone. New Dog Pound, too. Well, thank Ryan here for letting me know, and Charlie, as a matter of fact, letting me know that Fubo TV has Bally Sports. Yeah, I've heard of that. That's not a streaming service I have. We were, I think some sports have skyrocketed it. Others seem to have a little bit of a viewership problem post-COVID, and I think the NBA was heading for this for a while. That I remember saying, damn, related to talk about this next hour, but I figured let's just cram it in here now as we're talking entertainment. Jerry Seinfeld. He's got a movie coming out. I believe this is May 3rd on Netflix. Unfrosted is the name of it. This is apparently the story about how we got the Pop-Tart. And again, originally the Pop-Tarts were unfrosted. And you can still get those from what I understand. I like Pop-Tarts. I'm a blueberry fan of anything, so I'll take blueberry Pop-Tarts. It seems like most of you seem to think the strawberry is the bee's knees. He was doing an interview, Jerry was, with GQ magazine about this movie. Because, well, he's directing. And he started talking about the experience of that. He said, quote, "It was totally new to me. I thought I had done some cool stuff, but it was nothing like the way these people work," Seinfeld said. "They're so dead serious. They don't have any idea that the movie business is over. They have no idea." Now, a lot of people, once they start aging and seeing systems change and it's not unrecognizable to them, they think it's over. I've been very, very guilty of this with multiple different things in my life. You probably have too. But Jerry does know how entertainment works. "He's just a byproduct of Larry David," said by people who don't know the real situation, that Larry David absolutely latched himself onto Jerry Seinfeld because he saw the damn jet rocket that he was about to be, and they were friends, and so they teamed up together. And then when NBC approached them to do the show, Larry was like, well, Jerry's the thing. Like, let's just push Jerry out to the front and we'll cast the rest of the show. Like, yeah, whatever. You know, I mean, whatever. Just urinate on people's legacy all you want online. I mean, do whatever the hell it is you want, right? But they needed one another. Also, Larry left that show and Jerry was the head writer and showrunner for its final run, which the ratings were still through the roof for. Anyway, so they started to ask Jerry, whoa, dude, you think the movie business is over? He said, film doesn't occupy the pinnacle in the social, cultural hierarchy the way it did most of our lives. That feels true. I don't know if that would actually hold up, but it feels a little bit true, although I think I can push back on it, and I will here in a second. He goes on to say, Jerry Seinfeld does, when a movie came out, if it was good, we all went to see it. We all discussed it. We quoted lines and scenes we liked. Now we're walking through a fire hose of water just trying to see. Well, I will not argue that there is more entertainment than ever before at your fingertips, and I believe this has made people less appreciative of art. Like nobody gave a damn because it's like, we got 9,000 things. I'll just watch my favorite show 100 more times. Who needs you, writer? Screw you, right? I remember when films were big back in the day, you didn't want to wait because you didn't want to end up finding out what happened on the street, or maybe you turn on a show like mine. It's like, you spoiled it, you douche. You didn't want to do that. So people would run to the movie theater. That's less true today. I think there are movies that do that. It is less true today. Now, he's not even really going all in on the AI argument, which I thought he was going to, but they're not. He's not, rather. And when asked, what has replaced film? Depression, he says. I would say confusion, disorientation replaced the movie business. Everyone I know in show business every day is going, what's going on? How do you do this? What are we supposed to do now? Quote, I've done enough stuff that I have my own thing, which is more valuable than it's ever been. Stand-up is like your cabinet maker. Everybody needs a guy who's good with wood. There's trees everywhere. But to make a nice table, it's not so easy. So the metaphor is that if you have a good craft and craftsmanship, you're kind of impervious to the whims of the industry. Well, yes, the more talented you are, the more in demand you will always be. That cannot be denied. And I will agree with the sentiment that when movies were big, they were a collective experience, meaning most people saw them and you could talk about them. We're younger. We wanted the envelope pushed. We wanted the social issues of our day talked about. This is unfair. I better see it in my representation, in my entertainment. And now you're past it, like I am. And so the sounds like whining and complaining to you, like it does to me. And why that's the thing. Rehashing. People like comfort food, meaning their favorite thing is their favorite thing. And they can't figure out which one it's going to be. Today with a show called Sports Now, because I like it. And so I was like, I'm tired of looking for something to watch. I'll watch Sports Night again for the 9 millionth time. I actually got to see a live taping of that show, which is how I became a fan of it. But most people have never heard of it. But I love it. I'll just watch this. I think Jerry's making some sense here. The easy pushback is just this last year, though, right? With Barbie and Oppenheimer. Those felt cultural. Those felt big. Those felt like a lot of people were going to them so they could take part and have the conversations about them. I went and saw Oppenheimer. I think needed to be IMAXed and all this. That it really didn't. You could have watched that at home, but I wanted to go to the theater. I wanted to see it. Oppenheimer was a good movie. It did not need to be 3 hours long at all. Like, it didn't. You could have taken 40 minutes out of that movie and still had the same goddamn flick. I saw it twice. I've seen it. You could have whittled that down a little bit. I'm not a filmmaker. What I don't know about how to make film could fill this room and a few others. So maybe I'll just, give it to Christopher Nolan there. Like, dude, you're kind of the expert in this, right? I mean, Tenet sucked and all of these other movies sucked, but this one's going to be pretty good, right? So I think what Jerry is saying here is sort of true. I don't think it's 100% true at the moment. But you need the boy who cries wolf a little in this regard. You do. Because if you don't have them, then the wolf just strolls into town square, which is exactly what's going to happen once AI starts writing everything.
Live from the Hall of Fame City. And just as bad as NFL officiating. The Stansberry Show on Rock 1069.
We'll start New Tour Tuesday at 9. New Dog Pound featuring Snoop, part of that. Smoke Up, the name of that song. Just staying with that weed theme no matter what. Just let's ride that out. Sort of like Ace Frehley in space. I'm 90 years old, man. 11 records. They're all about going to space, dude. They're just going to ride that narrative out as long as humanly possible. We'll get to New Dog Pound, that part of New Tour Tuesday at 9. All right. I have been very judgmental on the subject we're about to talk about in the past. There is not one, but two separate sets of best of segments in the bank here at Rock 1069 about this subject. That's how often it comes up. Now, I should maybe not be so judgmental on this because most of you are going through it and I'm not. I live alone. And I can tell you, I love that. And yet I've said in here that people who reside in separate places, it feels like a lack of commitment to me. This is an argument I have at home a lot because I feel that way about my own situation. And yet it's mostly me that's like, I don't know, I don't want to give it up. I'm not going to like living here. I waited too long. I lived alone too long. I think everybody should do it for at least a short period of time. You don't really, I shouldn't say it that way. I'll say it this way. It's a great way to get to know yourself better, living alone. Now, you may not like who you see. Get ready for that. That's a whole other conversation. I bring it up because apparently married couples, also people who are just living together in a relationship, and that's fine too, are starting to tell us that separate beds became the ultimate aphrodisiac. Sleep divorces continuously on the rise. Again, we've talked about this plenty of times in Laguna. But that's how I kind of thought it was weird. Also, now when I think about how old they were then, they were getting towards the end of their, lives and relationship and a little bit like, get away from me, right? And I guess maybe that's it, isn't it? That if you've been married 20 years, you're stuck in the house with one another. It's the person you talk to the most. A little alone time, maybe not the worst. I can understand that. I relish mine. There's nothing worse than when I have to give my time to something I don't want to. Strange, I have a lot of free time to myself. You would think that would make it easier. It actually makes it harder because of how much free time I have. I'm not real good with compromise for the same reason. I stayed alone almost too long. I got a little too used to it. I created a pretty good system. And now I'm older and I'm like, but I don't want to change it. I don't want to do that. That again, one of the reasons why she gets yelled at as much as she does. Because even though we live separately, there's a way to do this more often than we're doing it. I just date somebody who doesn't give a damn about whether or not I'm happy. And so we end up here where we are right now. Yeah, we're headed for another breakup. I'm totally leaving her again. She's probably hearing that for the first time on her way into work, and I don't give a damn because I'm kind of over it. There it is. I thought I wasn't going to tell you, but we kind of know how the show goes. Kind of can't do it. Got to exercise the demons out, then we can push forward. Yeah, I want to kill her again. I want to behead her again. That's how mad I am about it. But it is partially my fault too. I like when we sleep next to one another. It makes me feel connected. There are huge benefits to being alone. A lot of them. It's amazing. What is amazing about it is amazing. The downsides are now harder to deal with than ever before. The downsides of being alone, living alone, were easier when you were young and drinking and the cocaine and this and that. Easier. Just deny it by doing more drugs. Now it's like, buddy, we can't just snort coke in the middle of the day, bro. We got things to be doing. You can't be doing that. And so all that long. And again, I am hard to be with that way. I don't. Long time to say is I understand this now more than ever. I do. I can kind of get it. I don't understand. I thought it was like, well, how are you just randomly having sex if you're both in separate bedrooms? But what this is actually saying here is that the more you stay in the same bedroom, the more resentment builds over other issues, and you become less likely to want to have sex with that person, because what you want to do is ball up your fist and punch through the back of their damn skull. Yeah, we've all been there, right? You don't do it, obviously. You shouldn't even joke about it, really. I mean, there are men that do it. And the fact that you don't recognize that you shouldn't say things like that, yeah, I think that's why I'm out on you now from moving forward. Yeah, fine, be out. Like, go ahead and cry about it and be mad about it. You know what I mean? The person you're never going to meet saying something just fictional about another person, yeah, I guess that should be the thing that sets you off. But I can understand that. The more you're mad at somebody, the less likely you are to want to be intimate with them. Absence can make the heart grow fonder. I tend to not be that guy, although if we're talking about absence being 72 hours versus 6 months, then I think I could see that. I am very much more out of sight, out of mind. That's how I have always lived my life. Ask my friends, ask my family. My brother has to call me. I'm never just like, hey man, how you doing? That's not a thing. I never look at my phone when somebody's calling and think to myself, oh good, never. That's never happened. I would think, what do you want now? Like, that's who I am as a person. That's hard to be with. It's hard to tolerate, right? I'm a race car in the red, Vincent. Like that's just who I am as a person. We got a few more examples here from couples and the benefits of sleeping alone, and some of your texts are starting to come in. So let's get into your messages, and we'll do that next here on Rock 106.9.
Give Stansberry a piece of your mind. Use the talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app and let him know just how wrong he is. It's just wrong. The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the program. Take a listen to some new Stain for New Tour Tuesday coming up at 9. What we have been talking about is separate bedrooms. This is becoming more and more popular for couples as it's turning into a new aphrodisiac. I said my grandparents, my mom's parents, and we spent a lot of time there as we all lived in the same neighborhood. So you would sleep at, Grandma and Grandpa's house. You'd wake up and Gramps had his bedroom. Grandma had, her bedroom. And I always thought it was weird. I thought it was strange because, I didn't see my parents didn't do that. My dad, with a little bit of a shoulder injury, sometimes would sleep on the couch. There was something about sleeping up against the arm of the couch, I guess, that made him feel like that was better for it or something. I don't know, some old wives' tale stuff. But, my parents slept next to one another. And that was, the blueprint for marriage. Your parents' marriage, right? That's why a lot of people, honestly, have so many hard times with relationships, right? You're either trying to recreate what you saw when you were growing up, or you're trying your hardest not to recreate it, right? There is a great saying about being a parent. It's either you are a fantastic example or a horrific warning to your children. Decide which one you want to be, right? And that's probably good advice. Elizabeth, 42, and her husband, 47, they sleep separately because, Ryan apparently snores, quote, like a chainsaw. He also apparently suffers from what you never hear about anymore, restless leg syndrome. Revealing that he even once punched her in the face in the middle of the night. Yeah, sorry, boo, that was an accident. Didn't mean to just cold cock you in the middle of the night. And it was apparently driving a rift in the relationship, she says. We both travel for work quite a bit, and we've noticed that we will sleep great in hotels, and we sleep poorly when we're at home in the bed together. Okay, well, I think you just kind of told us what happened. Is that you're getting a little accustomed to sleeping separately while you're working on the road from one another. And so you're getting used to that. And look, I don't think your marriage is off the rails if you stop sleeping in the same bedroom, although it does feel on the surface. Can we be honest about this? This feels like on the surface something people would try before getting divorced. Let's just try you living of what I make because some lawyer's on your side. You sleep in that bedroom, I'll sleep over here, let's see what we get, right? But I could also see this. As a person who loves his personal space, and I mean loves it, I can get very annoyed with people very fast. And I often get annoyed with the person that I love in this regard. Currently am annoyed with said person. Like, honestly, cannot stand her right now. Never want to see her face again right now. I know that's not how I feel. It is how I feel this morning. Where it's like, you know what, never again. You know what, never again, a little too soon for that. I know I don't feel that way, but I feel that way today. And if you were trapped in the house together and you can't get away from that, I've said this, I mean, this is why I feel like us having separate houses is beneficial, because when we fight, I'm just like, all right, whatever. I take the keys and I'm like, I'm going home. I'll go back to the frat house where I'm allowed to do whatever the hell it is I want, and you're not there to complain about any damn thing that I said about you on the radio this morning, because that's the same fight I have over and over and over again, and I don't want to have it right before I go to bed. I don't. And so sometimes I'm like, you know what, I'm heading home. So I could understand this. I could get it. It's not what I would want if we were living in the same place. It doesn't feel just be going with societal standards, what we, just because you've always done something, it's the right thing to be doing, can feel that way, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. I'm surprised people are saying they're having more sex. Now, what we didn't talk about yet, and this would be true, that when you get to the end of your day, if you're exhausted, you don't want to have sex. You don't. Even if you feel, guys, if you're approaching my age, I'm in my late 40s, mid to late 40s, admit this. You can want to have sex and still not want to do it. Right? Like, I can be sitting next to her on the couch and think to myself, God, she looks great. I kind of feel like having sex. Been a long day, though. I kind of hope she doesn't ask me. Right? Like, I'd rather just eat this leftover food and let's just watch another episode of this, right? It can kind of happen. It can happen. So I just thought that that would only increase the further you were apart from one another for the bedroom activities and the like. But if you're sleeping better every night, you're getting solid amounts of sleep, then you're probably more rested throughout the day. You feel better. You're in a better mood. We all know this. If you don't get enough sleep, are you cranky? Yes. You have heard me on 0 hours of sleep come in here and absolutely take this show and drive it smash into the side of a building. There it goes. Look at the Stansbury train just smashed into that building. I bet they're fighting again. I bet homie didn't sleep a whole lot last night. I kind of feel like he shot 200 on the golf course yesterday. Maybe that's what did it, right? Like, there are a few things that can do that. That can be one of them. I used to be able to not sleep at all. No hours of sleep. Walk right into the studio and knock it out of the park. It can still happen. The odds that it will happen aren't as good as they used to be. I actually kind of need the sleep. I kind of need it. So I understand it. I don't even have kids to be dealing with, and I'm still tired all day. I can only imagine what it's like when you have your own children to be dealing with, right? And sometimes she will have that, and that will be part of the why she's maybe tired and the like. But I just thought maybe sleeping in the bed next to one another would lead to more like, all right, well, we're both in here right now. And all right, that erection kind of came out of nowhere. All right, dude, God's giving us a freebie, boo. You want to hop on this thing real quick and see what we get, right? That can kind of happen. But what married couples are telling me is, no, that's not what will happen. Is that you're just going to grow more resentful, like, oh, just get your hands off of me, right? And I can maybe see that. Zach says, I've been married 5 years. This sounds weird to me. My wife and I struggle falling asleep when alone in bed. I'm all right. I'm okay. I may not be in the best mood. Right? But it's like, she's here. This is good. This is why I'm getting up. This is why I'm doing the thing. That representation of that makes it easier for me. I remember telling her once, we slept on her couch and her son wasn't feeling well and he slept on the couch too. And I said to her, I was mangled up on 3 inches of this couch. I got maybe 35 minutes worth of sleep last night. I've never felt better in my life. I said, I feel like I slept 12 hours. I was like, there's something about this feels like this is the way life is kind of supposed to be. Now, again, if that was my experience every single night, I'd be like, I got to get these animals out of my goddamn house. Like, that's for sure. I think, because, again, I'm just not the kind of, I don't really like my space invaded. I just don't like it. Some of my best friends have never been in my home. You stay over there. I'm good over here. I give everything away. The castle's mine. You stay out, right? Now, that's not a healthy system at all. I got a few more of your text messages here. Let's take a look at this. My wife and I were way more likely to sleep separately, Dwayne says, before the... Now it's just we appreciate one another a little bit more. I don't know how to explain it, really. It's like the 8 months we lived separately made us appreciate even the annoying experiences together. Yeah, I mean, it's like if you're dating somebody or married and they go out of town for work, or if they go out of town for like a little bit of a trip and you're like, dude, I kind of miss the way she eats her sandwich, right? And like things that make you want to slap her daily, you can kind of miss when they're not there. That's true. Absolutely, that is true. He said, I think it's actually really close to what you're saying here, Stansbury. This relationship is like no other relationship in my life. And that's always been my argument, that your relationship with your partner should be different than every other relationship you have. That's kind of how I view it. And he said, you're right about that. She is there for every part of my life like that. It wasn't always that way, though. I used to think having separate living rooms made our relationship easier. Then we kind of just morphed into roommates who happened to be married. And that's one of the points that I was worried about with the separate bedroom thing. That as prices of homes and prices of rent are skyrocketing, prices of services are skyrocketing, and people are more likely to stay together because of finances, as this has always been the case, as people would get together because of finances, that I felt like that's what could happen. That you could slam the gas pedal down on just becoming roommates versus a couple. Now, I don't think there's any one system that's going to work for me, you, or anybody else. It's kind of what's different strokes for different folks there. There is another angle of this on why sleeping alone, I think, could be absolutely dangerous for all of our relationships, and we haven't gotten to it yet, so let's do that next on Rock 106.9.
Don't blame the station. We expected you to cancel him by now.
Well, my horoscope said that I shouldn't assume responsibility for anybody but myself.
The Stansbury Show on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the program. We'll rock the bank at 9, give you that $1,000 keyword. We've been talking about sleeping in separate bedrooms.